Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope everyone is okay. Before I begin today's episode, I want to say something to my students because I know you have your exam today, Children's of Literature, and I just want to say I'm thinking of you. I hope everything goes smoothly and you feel confident in what you have learned. I believe in all of you guys. And today I want to talk about something that often gets underestimated, the writing and especially the translation of children's literature. At first glance, it seems simple, right? We already talked about this issue in the class. We often assume that writing for children must be easier, shorter sentences, simpler vocabulary, clearer messages. But the more you read, especially the more you realize that these texts. This simplicity is actually an illusion. Children's literature is not simple. It is carefully constructed simplicity. And translating it is even more complex. One of the most striking ideas in the text we are reflecting on today is this: children's literature carries both lightness and depth at the same time. On the surface, you see playful language, humor, imagination, but underneath, there are often complex emotional, psychological, and even philosophical layers. Think about words like Alice in Wonderland or stories that deal with war, trauma, identity, or loss. These are not simple themes, and this creates a challenge for the translator because you are not only translating words, you are translating layers of meaning. Another key idea is something I personally find very powerful: the idea that children's literature is shaped by an adult child duality. The children's books are written by adults, right? And published by adults, translated by adults, but they are read or mean to read by children. So there is always this tension. Who is the text really speaking to? Sometimes the text speaks to both at the same time. For example, a story might include a simple narrative for the child and subtle irony or commentary for adult reader. And this means that the translator has to work on two levels simultaneously. You are translating for child, but also for the adult behind the text. Another important point is that children's literature is not fixed category. The boundary between children's and adult literature is fluid. Many texts we now consider classics for children were originally written for adults, like Gulliver's Travels or Don Quixote. And today we also see the opposite: adults reading so-called children's books and finding deep meaning in them. So again, this challenges the idea that children's literature is somehow less serious. It is not. It is simply different in how it communicates. One example that I really love from the text is comparison between the two versions of a passage by Roald Dahl, one written for adults and the one adapted for children, if you remember. And what we see is fascinating. Sentences become shorter, the narrator becomes more direct, emotional focus shifts toward relationships, certain complex or harsh details are softened or removed, but at the same time, the core meaning is preserved. So, this shows us something very important. Writing and translating for children's is not about simplifying content blindly. It is about reshaping it thoughtfully. Another key idea is the role of development. Children are not one single audience. 6-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a young adult read in completely different ways. They process language differently, they respond emotionally in different ways, they have different expectations from a story. So the translator has to constantly ask, who is this text for? What kind of reader am I imagining? And this is where the things become even more complex. Because if you underestimate the child, you risk oversimplifying the text. But if you ignore their developmental stage, you risk losing them completely. There is also a strong emphasis in the text on creativity. Translation is not mechanical. It is not just replacing words from one language to another, especially in children's literature. Translation becomes an act of recreation. Think about sound patterns, rhythms, rhymes, wordplay, even visual elements in picture books. All of these require creative solutions. Sometimes you cannot translate directly at all. You have to invent something new that creates the same effect. And finally, there is something I find deeply meaningful, the idea that translation acts as a bridge between cultures, languages, and experiences. Through translation, children encounter worlds they would never otherwise see. And in that sense, the translator has a powerful responsibility, not just linguistic, but also cultural, emotional, and even ethical. So maybe the most important takeaway from today is this. In many ways, it is more delicate, more layered, and more demanding because you are working with imagination, development, culture, and emotion all at once. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating. And finally, to my all students, I wish you all the best in your exams today. I truly hope you feel confident and do great. Thank you so much for watching me today, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!